Planeteers! If you're like me, and I know I am, you will have noticed that a number of the heroes we grew up with have recently been showing sides of their personality that is, well, to be kind, less than favorable, having us realize that they're not as perfect as we once thought they were, and us trying to kind of reconcile our feelings for them and our own morals and values. This has inspired me to take a look at the quote-unquote heroes of many of the Mystery Science Theater 3000 films and rank the 20 worst heroes of Mystery Science Theater films. They say you should never meet your heroes. Well, you certainly shouldn't meet any of these guys. Let's get started with number 20, and that is Clete Ferguson of Revenge of the Creature, and he's played by the huggable John Agar. Alright, it's a sequel to The Creature of the Black Lagoon, one of Universal's kind of most famous monsters, and The Creature of the Black Lagoon is the hero or victim of this movie. Clete is the villain of this film. He goes into the Black Lagoon, the creature's home, kidnaps him, imprisons him in Florida, which, hey, that's bad, electrocutes him on a daily basis, like, hey, I'm going to give you some food. And he escapes. I find myself rooting for the creature in this regard, and the film completely ignores this aspect of it. Like, we're supposed to be afraid of the creature and root for him. Like, not really. Number 19 is Sinbad and the Magic Voyage of Sinbad. Now, this is not to be confused with the actual Sinbad movies. This is a film that was repackaged with a character that was not Sinbad. He's a nice guy, he's really full of himself, and he actually kind of does nothing. He goes out of his way for this great grand voyage, and he gets a whole crew to bring happiness to the village. And he goes around the whole world and comes back and goes, you know what? Happiness is right here. You did nothing. Nothing. I mean, hey, you fought a bunch of guys, that's great. You really showed off, but you literally did nothing. Alright, now, number 18, speaking of characters that did nothing, is Dr. Cal Meacham of This Island Earth, played by Rex Reason, who I think he could have played Superman. He has that kind of chiseled frame, he has that really cool presence, he has that awesome deep voice. Heck, Rex Reason sounds like a pulp hero all in of itself. But Dr. Cal Meacham doesn't do anything. He gets this invite in the form of a giant machine that he's never seen before, and if he can figure out how to put it together, he's invited to this great meet and greet of other scientists. It's conducted by aliens who, their planet is under, like, havoc. It's a disaster. It's falling apart. It's exploding. And it's gotten so bad, they've gone to Earth to outsource help. You know you're in serious trouble when you're doing that. So, yeah, he goes to the planet, he sees the problem, and he escapes, and the planet blows up, and he gets home. Literally does nothing. He's not a bad guy, he's not a terrible person or anything like that, but literally, if he had just decided not to go to the meeting, the whole story would have happened anyway. He doesn't affect the plot at all, which is kind of important for your lead hero to not be a tourist. Alright, so what are we at? Number 17, and number 17 is Sheriff Geronimo of Final Justice. And of course, there was no justice after this film. This is the final justice that we got. And he's played by Joe Don Baker in a film directed by the director of Angel's Revenge, Graydon Clark, who he's not the best director. He makes Hal Needham look like Christopher Nolan. So it's basically the 80s macho crap. He goes to another country, Malta, and kind of pushes everyone around and constantly gets arrested over and over again. This joke never ends. And he's right in everything he does, and, you know, he's like, oh, rules, who cares, blam, blam. I hate this crap, and it's not very likable. And Jonah Baker can be likable and a good actor, but there's nothing you can do. Look, he looks like a jerk in that outfit walking around. So yeah, he's kind of irritating. All right, number 16 is Rommel from Sidehackers. Now, Rommel has a pretty conventional movie plot. He brings this guy into his home, and this guy, JC, rapes and murders his wife, and then he goes out for revenge. Yeah, that's a pretty typical movie plot. The problem is he arranges, like in Seven Samurai style, a whole bunch of guys to like get revenge. He goes a long time to get this muscle guy. And he finds out where he is. He's held up. And his friend comes and goes, hey, great, you know where he is? Let's just call the cops, and they'll go get him. And he goes, okay, fine, go get the cops. And he rushes, and not realizing there's a spy in his midst. The big muscle guy, he took like 5-10 minutes of the movie to get, is shot and killed in 2 seconds. And then he's killed at the end. Like, not really good hero planning, guy. If you had just waited, the cops could have got him, and you could have enjoyed that revenge of him being arrested, maybe put to death. But no, you completely failed in whatever you needed to do. All right, number 15 is Joe Ryan and Sam Slade, not a detective, of Gorgo. Now, these guys are straight up bad guys. They are Americans who find in this lock a 20-foot monster. And they, of course, capture him, they name him Gorgo, and put him in a circus, and put him in the middle of London. Great idea. There's another monster that happens to be Gorgo's mom, and she's like 100 feet tall, and she decides to come get her boy, literally hitting every British monument and site as she goes. She doesn't miss a building or a structure, killing thousands of people. And they're like, no, we can't let the baby go. That's literally the one thing you can do. Forget about, look, missiles, bullets not affecting her. Just let the baby go. That's literally all she wanted. And the movie treats them like heroes. Maybe there is this one sign where at the end when they're releasing the monster, they look at each other yeah. No, you're bad guys. You guys should be in prison for the rest of your lives after this. All right, where are we here? We are at number 14, and speaking of circuses, this was accidental, Markov from Carnival Magic. Now, over the last few years specifically, I've heard people call certain female characters Mary Sues because they're competent. I'm sorry, a female character that's competent isn't a Mary Sue. Markov sure is, because he is this hypnotist magician who is smart enough to teach a chimpanzee to talk, but not smart enough to give that chimpanzee funny lines. He solves everybody's problem. He butts in to every issue that he can. And despite being the most fascinating, incredible man in the world, he's working this stinky carnival in Florida? Come on, man. What are you doing? Yeah, he's quite annoying. And he is definitely one of our worst heroes, right in the middle. Now, number 13 is Henry Krasker of The Dead Talk Back. And he is this metaphysical scientist who kind of believes in the supernatural in a scientific method, which is kind of a cool idea, but nothing he does is right. And he decides to solve a murder. This sounds cool, right? Well, he has a demonstration that doesn't work, and he is able... It looks like his plan, by the way, is to talk to the dead. He really wants to communicate with the dead, on a real, scientific method. There happens to be a murder in the apartment he lives in, so he is able to set up this, at the end of the movie, this is a long movie. At the end of the movie, he gathers all the suspects up with the cops, and he essentially just tricks the killer into confessing. He doesn't even talk to the dead. Doesn't work. The machine does not work. It's a fake. And then the cops reveal that they knew who the killer was. He didn't even do that. Terrible. terrible hero. All right. Number 12 is Hercules. And specifically, since they've done a few Hercules movies, I had to kind of pick and choose. And the worst Hercules is the Hercules from The Many Loves of Hercules. Yeah, say what you will about some of the Hercules movies. He does what he's supposed to do, gets in there and, fights and solves the problem. And there's a couple of the actors who have played Hercules, were, pretty engaging. But not this one. His wife is murdered at the end, and you think he's supposed to, do something about that? He ends up falling in love almost immediately with this other queen, and he's tricked to fall in love with this other queen, Hippolyta, obviously. And then he, runs away from that, and he gets beat up a lot, and he looks like he struggles to do any of the heroic Herculean feats. And he's not the best actor. So, yeah, he's definitely the worst Hercules of all time. So, alright, number 11 is Ed Wainwright from The Beginning of the End, played by Peter Graves. And, okay, quick explanation of the movie. He is working on, growth hormones for plants, and he's using atomic energy, and bugs get in there and turn into giant grasshoppers and start destroying all of the Midwest, and he kind of sort of feels partly responsible for it. What are you talking about? You are specifically responsible for it. I like how he acts so indignant about it, oh man, you should just listen to me since I know what I'm talking about. You did it. This is your fault. The military guys aren't much better. These are an army of giant grasshoppers, and they're going, well, let's get a few guys in there to kill some grasshopper. You saw how big they were. I don't know. I should probably do a video sometime in the future about how characters of old movies don't seem to react appropriately for terrible things. They see a god-awful monster, and they go, whoa, that's something else. Alright, number 10 is Rick from Pod People. Now, Rick is the rock star guy who decides to bring his band and a couple of people connected to the band into the woods to camp. Meanwhile, there's a ridiculous monster alien killing people left and right. Rick is a jerk. He is cheating on his girlfriend with another girl who is the daughter of the head of the studio. I forgot if it's the record label or the studio that owns. And he's totally cool with that. And he gets his buddy to kind of talk up the situation to his girlfriend. Hey, if you really love him, you should fight for him. God, this is really bad morals here. So the girl he drags gets killed instantly. And he's a jerk to everyone. He shoots a gun at people in the house to show that he's tough or something like that. And he doesn't get killed. He's one of the only people who doesn't get killed in this movie. And there's no justice for that. Apparently the final justice took care of that. So after that, nothing. No justice. I can't believe it. Number 9. The paper chase guy from Warrior of the Lost World. Now, the character, the hero, the Warrior of the Lost World, is a jerk. And I guess he's supposed to be an anti-hero. There's a chance he can save Persis Kambata in the middle of the movie, and he doesn't. And he's just rude and a jerk to everybody that he meets. Now, the paper chase guy is not an actor I would hire to play a hero in a post-apocalyptic action movie. Especially for this character, because look, you can have a jerk character, and if you hire a charismatic actor, you can get away with it. For instance, anything Kurt Russell does. Kurt Russell plays Stuntman Mike, who is a disgusting monster of a person. But you like him because, hey, it's Kurt Russell. It's great. You need to have charisma to do that, and Paper Chase Guy does not have that at all for this character. He's not great. Alright, so let's go to number 8, and it's Puma Man! Of course, Puma Man is going to be on this list. Puma Man is kind of that white savior kind of thing going on here a little bit. So, except you don't see the people. You just keep hearing, like, my Aztec people need you. Like you white guy. And he's kind of a whiny dork throughout the whole film, which can work, frankly. And to be honest, that does kind of make him a little bit fun. But you like put him aside. You put him aside beside Padino, I think his name is the Aztec priest. He's like a far better hero. Like, he's much more capable than he is. Why don't he just be the hero of the movie? So yeah, he's not great, and he doesn't fly well. So he's number 8. And number 7 is Rod Tillman from Wild Rebels. All right. Rod is a race car driver who's not very good, keeps crashing, and he's invited to this hideout of these Nazi bikers who are robbing banks, and they go, hey, we're robbing banks, and we need a wheelman. And he goes, no thanks, and leaves. And the cops immediately find him after he leaves and goes, hey, you know what? I have a great idea. Why don't you go back, random person who's not a cop, and becomes our man on the inside. All right, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. Rod he's terrible at everything. Like, he has one successful fight with Banjo in the middle of the movie, and that's kind of it. He doesn't even kill the bad guy. He fails and fails and fails. Matter of fact, the only thing he does believably is crash his car during the racing. But, okay, let's get off to the side here and talk about the cops. The cops, okay, they get an untrained person to infiltrate them, which gets a lot of people killed, by the way. And they already know where they are. They already know that they've been committing robberies. They know where they are. They could just go get them. They had a whole bunch of cars and cops ready. And they decide to, I don't know what this plan is. It's really bad. So the cops are also equally bad. Maybe even worse. Like, they couldn't even get their own cop undercover to, like, be a driver for them? I don't know. It's terrible. The heroes in this movie suck. All right. Now, we're going on to number 6. And number 6 is Biggs Duggan from The Girl in Lover's Lane. Who's that? Oh, it's Big Stupid. And look, I know, we all make fun of Twilight and those kind of movies and stories and stuff like that, but Biggs really is worse than all of that. He is that kind of like handsome, rugged, sensitive, loner, broken heart hero who's a rebel, and he causes all the problems in this movie by just being an asshole. He's judgmental to all these other characters, and, like, yeah, he leaves his girlfriend, who is being stalked clearly by Jack Elam, being the most creepy thing in the movie, and he's just like, she's fine. Whatever. Yeah, he's a stupid moron, and he deserves his nickname, Big Stupid. All right, number 5 is Dr. Ted Nelson. All right, of The Incredible Melting Man. And RK, hey, look, it's pure science that you look through the rings of Saturn and you turn into a melting man with super strength. I mean, obviously. Anyway, Astronaut Steve crashes back on Earth, and he's melting, and he turns crazy, and he needs to start eating people. He's melting. Makes no sense. And the general puts one guy on it after he escapes to go look and find him, because he needs to keep it a secret. And the guy is like a scientist who was working on the project. Like, why don't you get, like, a guy who hunts people? Why don't you get a team of soldiers? Not Dr. Ted Nelson, who obviously has never hunted anything in his life. Hey, remember that scene in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, where Captain America can't find Bucky, so he goes home and eats for half the movie? No? That's because Captain America's a good hero. Yeah, Dr. Ted Nelson is a failure all the way through, and he deserves that bullet in the head. Yeah, I said it. That fictional character deserved to die. All right. Now, let's talk more about characters who deserve to get it but didn't. Adam Chance of Agent from Harm. Now, they've done several James Bond ripoffs, and James Bond ripoff characters are generally sociopaths, but this guy is creepy. And he's like this smug, gross, slimy greaseball that gropes women and, cops a feel on the lead actress, who, she's a evil spy. Yeah, we know she's supposed to be the bad guy, but I can't help but watch this movie and feel bad for her. She had to work every day on this set with this guy, like, all over her. So, and that's in the movie. He doesn't really even do anything. He's not even as cool as Bart Fargo. He hangs around the house all day and, like, tricks people into getting killed in his stupid sweater. He doesn't even beat the bad guy. The old elderly scientist kills the bad guy, for God's sakes. All he does is just smug and smear, and it's gross. This actor, by the way, is actually a pretty good actor, and he made a career out of character roles in TV, usually playing bad guys, which actually he's better suited for that. Matter of fact, he even played Chrissy Snow's father, Reverend Snow, on Three's Company, where he would come in every once in a while and go, I don't approve of you immoral people influencing my daughter. And, like, he was a creep, and he's always been really good at being creeps. Now, let's talk about number 3, and that is Marshall Rose Hood from Gunslinger, played by Beverly Garland. And this is a Roger Corman film, Western. It's actually not a bad plot. Actually, it's a pretty cool idea. The wife of a slain marshal decides to become the temporary marshal of her town because it's going to be a full week before they have any kind of law enforcement to protect it. Meanwhile, a big rich Whig is trying to sell out the town in a conspiracy. She's played by Allison Hayes, by the way, another good actress. Okay, all this sounds really cool. This is where execution comes into play, and I do mean execution because Rose Hood saves no one in this movie. Everyone in the town dies except maybe one other character. Everyone dies. The bad guys, the good guys, the side characters, everyone gets killed in this movie. There's no town to protect, so you might as well just pack up. You failed. There's a character, Allison Hayes' character hires a gunslinger to come kill her, and then he realizes the mayor was his old general in the Confederate Army that he blames for losing the Civil War. So he decides to kill him too, and I feel like we're meant to feel sorry for him. No, that was a good thing. So, I don't know. This movie just fails so badly, and it's such an unfortunate thing because Beverly Garland is a really cool figure, and I think she was strong in roles like this, and she could have, if she had a couple of good action adventure roles thrown her way, she could have really done well. Unfortunately, her prime time was basically during the 50s and early 60s, which was not a great time for female action leads. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, Rose saves no one. All right, now we're going to number 2. Speaking of saving no one, we're going to be talking about Cat It from Outlaw. And Outlaw is a sequel. We never get to see the first one, which is fine with me. And it's based on a series of creepy, slimy books about the worlds of gore. And he's this, this teacher that got transported to a planet called Gore, which has a lot of creepy Roman slavery going on there. And he becomes the hero. He saves it from, a bad guy. And he is kind of next in line. And he kind of does nothing in this movie. He fights a couple of henchmen here and there in the movie, but he gets tossed around. The main plot is the Emperor's wife doesn't want Cabot to be the next emperor. She wants to be the empress, so she kills the Emperor, frames Cabot, and hires a bounty hunter to go kill Cabot, or capture Cabot, I should say. The bounty hunter is actually the hero of the movie. He easily beats Cabot with no problem, sends his ass back, and then when hearing Cabot, like, say that she's the bad guy, he instantly kills her. Like, the bounty hunter, who has maybe 3 lines in this whole movie, is the hero of the movie, not Cabot. Good lord. I mean, he's a nice guy and everything, I guess. He means well. He wants to end slavery, although he doesn't turn a blind eye to getting a sexy massage from slaves. But other than that, he wants to save slaves. Yeah, he's not very good. He's just so frustratingly awful in this movie as far as, like, doing stuff. He's barely proactive. He's great at running away. That's his advantage, I guess. Alright, now we are at the number 1 spot, and before I do that, I thought I'd throw in some honorable mentions, because I know there's a couple of characters that aren't going to be on this list that if I don't mention them, I think a lot of people are going to, like, want to bring them up and ask me why. Alright, quick explanation. To create this list, I decided to come up with, like, a small criteria of what makes a bad hero, and I kind of decided that if they're not proactive, if they're poorly acted, or if they're a terrible person, like if they are arguably maybe the villain of the movie, for instance, or just slimy, or just not someone you want to get behind and support. So, with that said, I had a few characters that are well-known heroes in these films, but I just couldn't just put them on this list. And, of course, the number 1 honorable mention is Mitchell. Yes, Mitchell, played by Joe Don Baker. Now, I know he would have been probably number 1 on a lot of these people's lists, but from the criteria I created, he kind of didn't fit any of them. He's very proactive. He gets the job done. Matter of fact, I know we don't see him take out John Saxton in the Mst3k cut, but in the full version of the film, he, like, chases after him and gets him. So, yeah, he gets the job done. He is kind of a slubby, kind of, like, he's kind of a slob kind of character. He, like, you know, sleeps with Linda Evans' prostitute character and arrests her all the time because she has drugs on her, and that's not cool, but, he's also well acted. You know, Joe Don Baker, say what you will about him, he is a compelling actor, and, you know, whatever movie he's in, you know, you kind of pay attention to him, which is part of the reason why I think Mitchell became such a phenomenon with Mst3k characters. And I think the fact that he's kind of very imperfect, I don't think is a mark against the movie. I think it's a mark for the movie, because keep in mind, it was made in the early 70s, and this was kind of an anti-Dirty Harry film, really, where Dirty Harry is rough, tough, you know, super manly Clint Eastwood, where they decided to go the other way and make him kind of like, you know, this sloppy guy who's not really great at anything. He's kind of like, it's kind of like a Harvey Bullock movie. Hey, DCEU, get on the Harvey Bullock origin film. Let's do that one, and we'll get to Joe Don Baker for it. Actually, he's a little old. Maybe consult him. Also, another honorable mention is Wanda Sagnussen from Alien from L.A. Now, yeah, she fits the criteria of being poorly acted. Kathy Ireland, God love her, but she's not an actress. She's very bad at this movie. Her high-pitched voice is just not a good sound for your lead character. But I looked at the other things, and yes, on paper, she's a really interesting character. She's this shy, introverted girl that no one takes seriously, that goes on this adventure and kind of finds herself. I mean, that's good. And she is proactive. She goes and, you know, finds her father through thick and thin. Yeah, she doesn't do a lot of the action stuff, but, I mean, she moves forward. So I couldn't put her on the list. The next one is Dave Ryder from Space Mutiny, or you might know him better as one of many, many, many nicknames, like Slab Bulkhead, or shad beef stick, or I don't know. You can make your own up, actually. Once again, he's kind of a comically stereotypical He-Man type of character, but look, proactive. He gets the job done. He's okay as far as a person, and Rem Brown is funny. Rem Brown screams a lot, and not just in this movie. I've seen him in a couple other films. He's even played Captain America in a TV movie, and I don't know, to amp himself up in action scenes, he tends to scream a lot, and he does that often. And I just want to say, if you're a filmmaker and you hire Rem Brown to be in your movie, get ready for some screaming. But he just could not fit into this list. And lastly, my last honorable mention is Paul from Warwolf. And he was actually on this list for a while, but he's a werewolf protagonist, and they're also kind of the villains. So when I had to drop somebody, he was the one I had to drop. Look for him in a future list about bad villains. So we're kind of done with honorable mentions. Let's get back to our number one, and who could that be? Before I get to that, don't forget you can like, subscribe, and click the notification bell here at The Real Manos, and support The Real Manos and Manos Publishing at patreon.com. And you can also buy Red Knight, my comic book, at Manos Publishing. Alright, now that I got that stuff out of the way, let's go with Red from Atlantic Rim. Now, this is from the last season of the show, so it's the newest, I'd say it is the newest character on this list, and he is repugnant. He is awful. He's meant to be that rebel that gets the job done but doesn't play by the rules kind of character to the ninth degree. He is obnoxious. He is a narcissist. You might suggest he's a sociopath. He doesn't care about his friends, just how he looks, just how he doesn't care about the innocent people he quote-unquote fights for. He gets them killed and pays no attention to the ramifications of such. He gets mad when he's like throwing the brig. He blew up a building full of people during a fight. Didn't even care. Doesn't even bring it up. The first thing we see him do is start a fight with someone for no reason. There's that writer's trick they call Save the Cat, where the idea is you introduce your hero and you show them that they're a good person by doing something like saving a cat out of a tree, like Superman in the movie. But, that's just a general example. Show your hero doing something cool and nice, and that gives you an instant idea of how good they are. And he bumps into a guy in an alley and beats the crap out of him. So, hero. I like the fact that, I think it's Jonah, or is it Servo, who says he's what happens if a puka shell became a human being. He's a gross jerk, and I hate him. No offense to the actor, I'm sure he's doing the best he can, but this character is just repulsive, and I never want to see him in a movie ever again. Unless he gets killed in the first 5 minutes, then that'd be fine. Hey, these heroes were terrible. Do you agree, disagree with my list? Is there anybody I missed? Is there a hero in a Mystery Science Theater film that you just can't stand? Let me know in the comments below. And like I said, you can also check out Real Manos at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon. So, I think that's done. I've had enough of these heroes. Push the button, let's say.